What if I told you your baby starts learning before they even take their first breath? Not after birth, not in the nursery, not with flashcards or lullabies, but in the womb. Latest research shows that babies begin learning in powerful and measurable ways during pregnancy, especially in the third trimester. They recognize voices. They respond to language. They even develop taste preferences. Learning doesn't start at birth. It's already happening quietly, continuously, and beautifully. And by the end of this video, you'll understand how learning begins long before birth and what that means for parents, families, and society to be careful of how they behave at this early stage and the way we think about human development. So stay with me, because the final insight might completely change how you see pregnancy. In this video, my goal is simple: to show you what the latest research reveals about how babies learn in the womb, specifically how they recognize language, respond to sound, prefer familiar voices, and even develop taste preferences before birth. And more importantly, why learning is not a starting point, but a continuous sensory-based process. Let's talk about what science is revealing. Section 1. Babies recognize language. By the third trimester, a baby's auditory system is developed enough to hear sounds from outside the womb. It's not perfectly clear, like we hear it's muffled and filtered through amniotic fluid, but rhythm, tone, and patterns come through. Studies have shown that newborn babies can distinguish their native language from foreign ones. That means before they're born, they're already absorbing the sound patterns of the language spoken around them. In fascinating experiments, researchers observed that newborns suck differently on pacifiers when hearing their mother's native language compared to a foreign language. This change in sucking rhythm indicates recognition. Think about that. Before seeing the world, before speaking a word, babies are already tuning their brains to the rhythm and melody of language. Language learning doesn't begin with mama or dada. It begins in the womb. Section 2. They prefer familiar voices. One of the most touching discoveries is that babies recognize their mother's voice at birth. Researchers have found that newborns show clear preference for their mother's voice over a stranger's. They even prefer stories that were read to them repeatedly during pregnancy. In one study, mothers read the same short story aloud during the final weeks of pregnancy. After birth, when given a choice, babies showed signs of recognizing and preferring that familiar story. That means bonding doesn't begin at delivery. It's already forming before birth. The womb isn't silent. It's filled with heartbeat rhythms, breathing sounds, digestive gurgles, and most importantly, voices. Your voice and your baby is listening. Section 3. Taste preferences begin before birth. It's not just sound. Babies also experience taste in the womb. Amniotic fluid carries flavors from the mother's diet. Garlic, vanilla, carrot, spices, subtle traces make their way into the fluid surrounding the baby. Studies show that babies exposed to certain flavors during pregnancy are more likely to prefer those flavors after birth. For example, infants whose mothers drank carrot juice during pregnancy showed fewer negative reactions to carrot-flavored cereal later on. In other words, food preferences may begin before a baby ever eats solid food. Learning is happening through sensory exposure, through taste, through smell, through sound. The womb is a classroom of experiences. Section 4. Learning is sensory and continuous. What all of this research tells us is something profound. Learning is not a switch that turns on at birth. It is continuous. The brain is forming millions of neural connections every second in late pregnancy. Sensory input, even muffled, filtered input, helps shape those connections. This doesn't mean babies are memorizing math equations or consciously thinking. It means their brains are adapting. They're recognizing patterns. They're building familiarity. They're forming early foundations for language, bonding, and preference. Learning begins with sensation, not instruction. Section 5. What this means for parents. So, what does this mean? It means your presence matters even before birth. Talking to your baby, reading aloud, playing gentle music, eating a varied, healthy diet. These aren't just sweet gestures. They're early experiences that shape familiarity and comfort. It also means something reassuring. You don't need perfection. You don't need complex stimulation programs. Simply living, speaking, loving, and caring during pregnancy already provides rich sensory input. The womb is not silent. It is active, responsive, and deeply connected. And from the very beginning, your baby is learning through rhythm, through flavor, through sound. Learning is not a moment. It's a continuous, sensory-based process that begins long before birth and continues for a lifetime. Before they see your face, before they hold your hand, they already know your voice. And they've already begun to learn. If this changed how you think about pregnancy and early development, let me know in the comments. Did you know babies learn before birth? If you found this fascinating, make sure to like this video, share it with an expecting parent, subscribe for more science-based insights on human development, because learning doesn't begin at birth. It begins long before and continues for a lifetime, and we're just getting started.